Okay, so this is a backpack electrofishing unit, and this is the most common way for sampling and assessing fish populations in streams. It causes forced or involuntary swimming in the fish. So when you force contraction in a fish, muscle contraction, it causes the fish to swim. When it gets close to the anode, it essentially knocks the fish out. They're anesthetized by electricity. We remove those fish, we put them in buckets and live wells, keep them alive, keep the water aerated. It's what we call the reduction or removal method, where we actually remove the fish. We're going to put the fish back unharmed, but before we do, we're going to identify the fish. Okay, you ready? Power on. See them? See them all? There's a bunch of them. I think the largest concern was migration, the movement of brook trout from downstream populations to upstream populations. So that dam created a significant barrier. The rumor that I've heard for years was that somebody in the 40s or 50s put it in there to make a bass pond. You know, did it themselves and just brought in the concrete and poured it and made this dam. We started 3 years ago, and it was completely intact when we first started. So we were basically comparing the pond up above to the stream down below and to a control site further up the upstream. This year they actually took out the whole thing, you know, and so now we're doing the sampling, and we're going to have students come back next year and do kind of a year after the dam was removed and look at how the system has recovered. That even a small dam on a small brook has monumental influences. You know, there's over 3,000 small dams and barriers throughout Massachusetts, and so even though this is just one little brook with one little dam, collectively around the state, it's a huge problem. It's one little piece of that problem that is now gone. I realized in graduate school that, you know, because you're balancing teaching and research, and I realized that teaching was really the direction I wanted to go. I loved interacting with students. I loved teaching. I like to see students learn and apply new ideas and concepts and principles, and so that really excited me. When I was doing my postdoctorate, I decided that I'd look for teaching universities like Westfield State, where the emphasis is on teaching. The opportunity to combine the two is what I think makes this the perfect job and the perfect place to be, is because you can go out and do cool stuff that's real and worthwhile, but the whole time it's a teaching exercise where the students are learning and growing and understanding new concepts, and we're outside in the trees and the leaves are falling and the wind's blowing. It's just amazing. And it seems like it sticks a little bit better too when they're out there. They're like, oh yeah, I get it. It makes sense now, because you're standing out there looking at the stream rather than being in a classroom talking about it theoretically. Yeah, look at the spots.
The red spots, yeah.
The red spots going down the par. These are called par marks. Juvenile salmon have these par marks.
It's for real. You know, it's not just something they're going to do and then next semester the data's gone and moving on and it's all over. No, people are going to be looking at this data for a long time, and it's going to have a beneficial influence, hopefully on the stream itself and for a long time to come. Probably the most rewarding part of this is that you have these students that now have gained this increased understanding and appreciation and skill set, and they're going to go out into the world and do their thing, and to think that I was maybe a little part of that, at least, it's pretty cool.